Hello and welcome to the Needs Languages Week 3 on parenting. This is the workbook edition. And I am excited that everyone has come back, that you're here finishing doing this next lesson. We're going to briefly go over the 4 needs languages again. So we're just going to do a review on this one. It's just repetitive. When we repeat, we remember more. So if you remember from last week, we have right, which are your thinkers. They're about looking for the best, right, wrong, good, bad. They're about belief. They take when they it's really hard when they see themselves as wrong. And it'll take longer to process that information. So you got to give them some time. Control is about the environment. They like their environment a certain way. A lot of times they like to have steps. They're really about safety is really a key thing for them. So important is they need to get the prize. They're about priority. A lot of times subconsciously, they don't mean to, but they'll draw attention to themselves. Sometimes they mean to. And sometimes they'll even tell on themselves. It's just quite funny. And then value, remember, is about cost versus benefit. And they need to see a cost or a benefit to make a decision. So now we're going to go over the combinations. They are no particular order. And we're not going to go over which ones are dominant and which ones aren't. I decided to do this because I didn't want to make things more complicated in these lessons. And I want people to really listen to the words and actions of people and to not focus on, I didn't want people to focus on that in this lesson. So here are the 6 combinations. Again, we're 2 out of the 4. So I want you to just really focus on this. And we had fun doing this. So again, just to let you know, we wire our brains in either joy or fear. That's why we don't remember every single day in detail. We remember those things that were either really super fearful or really super loving or joyful or happy. So we have RC, which is writer control, CV, control value, IC, control important, IR, important right, RV, right value, IV, important value. And again, we made these so that they're really easy for people to remember. The only one that we had a harder time with was the IR. RC kind of looks like a remote control. CV is like a CV joint. IC is kind of like an IC, IC, like IC. An IR, again, we didn't quite know what to do with that one. RI didn't quite sound right either, so we just went with IR. An RV sounds like an RV, like the big RVs that you have. And then an IV kind of sounds like, those IV, liquid IVs. So we kind of did it this way because it makes it really fun. And that's where we go. So I'm going to give you some examples. I'm going to go into what each of one of them are about. So RV individuals tend to have more of a snarky or biting sense of humor. And when they're done, they're done. They tend to be more challengers. So for an example, I know of a couple of RVs that when they were children, they would say, I'm ready to go to bed. I'm going to bed. Or they'd put themselves in timeout because they knew when they were done. They just knew it. IV individuals, they tend to be a little dingy or quirky, and they can be resourceful in a lot of ways with information or connectors. CV individuals tend to be the most introverted, although we do not really subscribe to introverted, extroverted, because there's a lot of people that ride the line on that. These individuals tend to have, CV individuals tend to have a drier sense of humor. They're more likely to be more routine based, and they tend to be like behind the scenes. A good way to describe them would be like a white pillar in a building. They're just there. Um, you just don't really usually notice them. IR individuals tend to stand out and be a little more colorful. They tend to be more of the extroverted type of people. You usually notice IR people in the room. Total opposite of a CV. I see individuals tend to have a clearer sense of self and tend to create the following of their world, like big fish in small pond. RC individuals tend to speak their mind a little bit more. They can be stronger individuals. Not always, but sometimes they can have a little more of a sadistic humor. And again, RCs are they can be super sweet or super opinionated. So they kind of run the gamut there. So which personality do you feel more likely closely describes you? And I'm going to go back through this again, and I'm going to just go over how they basically are looking at a basic level. RVs are looking for the best benefit. They think to feel and feel to think. I've talked to a lot of people and I'll say that and they'll go, oh my gosh, how did you know that? IV individuals are looking for prizes with benefits. That doesn't always sound the greatest. CV individuals are looking for environment with benefits. So let me go back to the IV for a second. The IV is feeling their prizes. They feel to think prizes. CVs would feel to their environment. IRs think and then go into the prizes. So they think and feel. They think to feel into their prizes. ICs are about their environment with prizes. And RCs think to feel and they're about their environment. So they are looking for the best environment. So now I'm going to ask the question again, which personality you feel more closely describes you? And again, this is recorded so you can listen to this over and over and over again until it's like, oh my gosh, that's me. Do you feel there's one that describes your child? Remember, each one is valid and crucial in our world, and they all work together. It is very vital they are all balanced and work together. Recently, I was in a room where there were all six of us and we worked together. It was nice. You can have the same experiences of working well with your kids. A few points. RCs and RVs are your hunters and gatherers. Most people process the world through RC and RV. Most women are RC and most men are RVs. That doesn't mean everyone is the same. We all know everyone is not the same. There are other factors that play a factor in this. Let me give you an example. I have two male multipoos. They are both multipoos. Are they the same? No, but the pattern of them being multipoo is the same. One could be a white multipoo, one could be a tan multipoo, and they could come from the same litter and still be different. Let me give you another example. I have two trees. One is an apple tree and one is a fern tree. They're still trees, but they're different. Most people process the world through R, which is think to feel. I believe there's a reason for this. When people process this way, it is easier to manifest and create things. People who can do this can be more innovative. My next point is this. Those who do not process or speak are thinkers, have a more challenging time fitting in the world, and have to find ways to connect. And I'll talk a little bit more about this in lesson 5. No matter how you process, you are unique and amazing. To help you discover, I'm going to list a few famous people that we believe process RC, RV, and IR. So I want you to take a look at this list here. I'm not going to read off all the names. I will also put this in the booklet, but you can see there's a wide variety. There's a few women on here that are RVs, a few men on here that are RCs, and I have a few people that are IRs. And this is by what we've observed speaking these particular needs languages. Again, it's a language. This will give you an idea of the vastness, yet patterns that are out there. Again, think of trees, think of animals. There are tons of ways that things are expressed, that there are patterns that make something what it is. I mean, you could even take an apple. How many different varieties of apples are out there, but yet there's still an apple? What we have found is that that this takes time and practice to recognize the patterns. So be patient with yourself and others. However, we have been doing this for a long time. It's just we aren't aware. Please come at this in observing and learning how to communicate better with another party, with your children. There's no judgment. There is no biases in this. This is observing and saying, how can I process how do I process and communicate? What am I needing and what is the other party needing in the processing? How am I communicating? I want you to journal and start thinking about the definitions of each. Which one, how are you seeing yourself process? How are you seeing your kids process? Did this lesson give you an idea of what your kids' needs languages are? If so, what do you think your kids' needs languages are? Do you have a connection with your kids' needs languages? Are you the opposite or the same? In lesson 5, we will talk more about opposite needs languages, and it isn't good or bad. It is learning how to navigate. Is there something you like about your particular needs languages? I can tell you there are things that I like about mine, and I can tell you there are things I struggle with mine. Is there something you like about your kids' needs languages? So please answer these questions to the best of your ability before continuing to the next lesson. We ask this because each lesson does build on each other. Now, in the first lesson, you can wait and come back to that and answer those questions a little later. But as we move through these, we're going to have, especially the needs languages, we're needing you to ask these questions at this point on the needs languages questions. We want you to ask those before we start moving on. So until next time, be well, be safe, and be happy. See you next time. Bye-bye.